Did your dad use his chrome-domed wizard friend to trick everyone's real-life boss's daughter into thinking he was her husband while he raped her to make you? Did he also neglect to read the fine print on the charm of making because he had to bang one out right then and there, meaning you were now that wizard's property? Did you randomly pull a sword from a stone before doing a speed run through a fuck ton of lore, along the way being tricked by your half-sister into banging her and creating your killer with said incesto bang? If so, you may have just been undone by your libido in the Unkind Rewind, where we watched the 1981 Sword and Sorcerer classic, Excalibur.
Thrill me.
I'm gonna name you Kodo. You get a name too, Podo.
His name is Happy Harry Hardon. He's a total sex maniac.
Of course.
Welcome to the Unkind Rewind, where this week we are deviating a little from the formula and diving into a film our guest has a tattoo of, and understandably has seen much more recently than is standard on this show. Greetings from a snow-covered North Star state where I, Josh Dugan, have been pushing away all of my wife's advances for fear of it not being her, but rather a different witch who has entered our marital bed with designs on my cosmic demise. As per usual, I'm joined by my co-host Sean McGrath, who just got back from performing a nude scene in the cold because he's serious about his craft. Sean, have your balls dropped back out from your abdomen yet?
Yeah, I mean, I fell asleep in Central Park. Obviously, that happens a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
Completely naked. And then, obviously, when I woke up, there were a bunch of hypodermic needles stuck in the ground. So I knew that the junkies were around me. But yeah, I've successfully avoided any mirror matches against myself.
Okay, good. Now, for the first time in this pod's history, we have guests returning to the show in this augmented bonus episode format, as we are joined by film critic Chad Byrnes. Chad, have you succeeded in vanquishing your father on the field of battle yet?
No. I'm still trying.
Okay.
I need one more. I need Merlin to help me get across that fog, so I could,
The dragon's breath.
The dragon's breath to
the third time
dream girl.
Third time Nicole Williamson is showing up on this podcast.
Yeah, which is
well.
crazy.
Yeah, he's become a Unkind Rewind stalwart.
Oh, please! What are the other movies?
So, Return to Oz and Black Widow. The Bob Rafelson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deborah Winger?
Yeah.
Yes.
Deborah Winger, Teresa Russell. Yeah.
He is one of the Black Widow's victims.
That's right. I forgot about that. Wasn't he like some kind of scholar or something like that?
Like a paleontologist or something, but super wealthy. Like one of the wealthiest people in...
At least Washington State.
In Washington State, but also I think he was a scientist.
Yeah, pre-tech boom.
Yeah, clearly.
I bet you did your research for that one.
It was weird. It was a strange. I did do a lot of dumb research because I always do. I can't help myself. But anyway, sorry, Chad. Why don't you tell the listeners who have forgotten what they heard back when you joined us early on in the podcast history to revisit Firstborn a little bit about yourself?
Oh, great. Well, first of all, I'm just honored to be back. Thank you, gentlemen. Love this podcast.
Please just punch to have you back, Chad.
Yeah, Chad, Firstborn is one that we often cite as one of like the shining examples of how we can find forgotten diamonds in the rough on this show.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm glad I brought it to you. There's nothing like some child abuse films from the early 80s to make us all happy.
Yeah. Peter Weller's scary.
Nothing like Weller going full method.
Oh, man.
On a kid.
The only thing I wish the movie had in hindsight was him actually blowing the horn, because I know he's a jazz musician and they just missed an opportunity for that.
Yeah.
Doing coke, blowing some horn.
Sure.
Anywho, great to see you, gentlemen. Yeah, my name is Chad Byrnes. I am a former screenwriter for the illustrious show Seventh Heaven that you and I all love. Thank you very much. Only wrote 3.5 episodes, but they're the best 3.5. I guarantee it.
I bet. Actually, we'll link to them in the show notes.
Oh,
Is that
don't.
any episode where they throw a kid around a hallway?
I tried to get that in there and it was rejected quickly. And then about 8 years ago, I got the opportunity through my former editor at LA Weekly to write an article. She came to me, we talked at a party, and then she came to me out of nowhere and she said, write me something for our Halloween issue. She said, give me your 10 best horror films. I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. There has to be subgenres. There's no just such thing as horror films, please. So I did the 10 best 80s slashers, and she dug it. And ever since then, I have been a film critic for LA Weekly, and then also in addition to Village Voice about, I would say, 4 years ago. So
what were your top 3 of that top 80s slashers?
I believe The Burning was like number 1.
Okay.
Because it's deranged and strangely beautiful. I really like Stage Fright, which is the Italian film where the killer is wearing an owl mask the whole time, and it is the strangest slasher film you've ever seen. And then, of course, I had to throw in a Friday the 13th or something, if I remember correctly. But yeah, there was some. I put in Maniac, for the kids. Good stuff, And
you got to throw the dogs a bone. You got to put in a Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine my first article ever saying 1080 slashers and not putting it in. Yeah. I would never gotten hired. So
yeah. you gotta give the masses something. So before we dive too far into this sexified Arthurian epic, where can our listeners find you, Chad?
Well, you can find me at villagevoice.com, or you can find me at laweekly.com. And in fact, you could just put it right in the search, Chad Byrnes. My last name is Byrnes, and you'll find out all my reviews in either one of those search engines. And
any social media you want to share?
Yeah. I have an Instagram. Is Chadwick_Byrnes. And also I put a lot of my reviews up there, and various screenings I go to. Like I did a selfie of myself after I saw Warren Beatty's Reds recently, where my eyes were red from 3 hours of socialists yelling at each other, and I was very tired. I feel like I was one of Warren Beatty's groupies afterwards. I was exhausted, and I never want to see it again.
So, getting to Excalibur, Chad, as your Mordred tat would clearly indicate, you clearly must have grown up watching Excalibur. What's your history with the film?
Okay, I'll give you a short version. Well, there's
we have time. You don't need to give an abridged version of this.
And I think this is the first time that we've had a guest with a tat of the movie that they're talking about, right?
Yes.
Josh?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we didn't do Gremlins with Stewart, though he does have a Gremlins tat.
Nice.
Okay, but this is the first, so we can give it its respect.
Thanks, man. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
It is a Mordred tat, right?
It's Mordred.
Okay,
yeah. And it's a good one. It's not some Mordred who looks like like a Smurf.
And this is final form Mordred too, right?
This is fine. This is not the child Mordred. Yes. He creeped me out too much. I don't want that kid on my leg. I want adult Mordred on my leg. Yeah. So my experience is I saw I caught a little bit of this movie in the theaters, believe it or not. I don't remember what movie I went to go see, but it was with a parent. I think it was my dad, and then right after the movie, I saw Excalibur. I was obsessed with the commercial on television, if I remember. Let your listeners know I am older. I am at this point 52. I don't remember how old I was in 81. I'm not good with math, but whatever I was, 8, 9, whatever
like
the heck
7
I
or
was.
8, yeah.
Yeah. I ran in there. I caught a little bit of it on my way out. My dad was cool. He's like, yeah, let's go check out some of it. And I watched some of it, and then that was that. But then I forgot about it, and then a couple of years later, it was on cable, on loop all the time. Like, you cannot, anything past 7 p.m. on whatever cable station's HBO, Showtime. I even think the Z Channel, I was watching a lot of the Z Channel too, that was showing Excalibur like you wouldn't believe. And that's my experience. And I was fascinated from the first frame that I saw.
Did this extend to other fantasy films of the decade or prior?
Yeah, unfortunately it did, because everything paled in comparison. The Beastmasters, as fun as they are, the sword and
The sword and sorcerer shit.
Sword and sorcerer. This is not the movie where you got a He-Man with a loincloth. This is a little higher class.
There are no barbarian brothers in this.
No, sir. No, sir. Thank you, God. We wouldn't be talking about it if there were. And
well,
yeah.
At
Josh
least not as a
probably would
fond
be
childhood
talking about-
memory.
Yeah, Josh and I eventually are going to be talking about it, unfortunately.
We hope so.
I'm going to be listening. I need an education on it, because after Excalibur, I'd watched 5 minutes of that stuff, and I'd be probably a young film critic already, like, oh, this is trash, and I'd turn it off.
Did you
Might as
have
well had
any?
a pipe in my mouth.
Did you have any attachment before or after this to the Arthurian legends?
None. Absolutely. I heard of him when I was a kid. Whatever. The Sword and the Stone was familiar to me. The origin story was familiar to me. But honestly, this was my introduction to the full story. And it honestly set the bar so high, because afterwards, years later, when I was in my 20s, I would read certain books about Arthur, and they all were so damn boring compared to Excalibur. So it's one of those things of be careful what you're fascinated with, because that your first introduction is the best usually.
Sean, do you have a history with Excalibur?
Oh, yes. This was, I would say, probably the when I think back about the movies that we had on VHS in the house, like my first answer would probably be Excalibur. Okay. We had it in the kind of oversized plastic clamshell style. It wasn't in the the paper box, the slipcover. Yeah, it was. I remember, the sort of paper cut edges to that box, that the clamshell. And yeah, my dad is a huge Arthurian stan. Loves all those legends. Read the Pendragon Chronicles. Probably would have been a good phone a friend, 40 years ago for that kind of stuff. And so the introduction of Excalibur into the house was without a doubt through him. He needed to have this. I don't know if it was something that he went to go see kind of in the theater scene of New York City. Probably, I would assume that. And then once it, reared its head on VHS, we had to have it. So it was a massive introduction, not only to the Arthurian legend for me, but also a huge introduction to violence and sex.
Me too.
Yeah, this was like the gateway, probably.
Yeah.
I think that this was the gateway to those, those kind of hard R elements, but managed to kind of slip by the oversight of my mother, because it had this
King Arthur.
It had King Arthur attached to it, yeah. And, how can that be bad? It's
Yeah.
teaching. It's much better than, say, like, I don't know, like 48 Hours or something like that, where it's just kind of guns going off and people flying out of windows.
Right.
My parents tended to have a higher tolerance for antiquated dismemberment.
If it happened with a sword.
If it happened with a
instead
sword.
of like arm being blown off by a shotgun or something.
Yeah. I mean, if there was some, if it was a out of present day, there was a much longer leash for my brother and I.
Would you like to thank your mom for like kind of breaking you by letting you watch this?
I don't know if I should thank her, honestly, because this may have really, augmented the path that I was on. There was a lot in this movie that, I'm kind of shocked at how young of an age I was when I saw this, and I saw this numerous times. Mm-hmm. I knew pretty, from the start of the movie, I knew about how long I could fast forward it before I had to stop and play to get to the, I would just say the conception scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a counter, or you could just tell, like,
I just knew about like how long, because if
I press play at like 23 seconds of it fast forwarding blind.
And this is not when you hit play and then fast forward, right? This is like from a dead stop. So you would hear the whinny of the tape being spun. So that about there.
And that's where you see John Boorman have his daughter be raped.
Yeah, and we should just like go ahead and before people who haven't seen this movie click stop. The first sex scene in this movie is with a character that, yes, is played by the director's very young daughter.
Yeah.
I clocked her as 19. Josh, do you have about that?
I didn't check the age.
Yeah, she's 19-ish.
Yeah.
And she represents one of 3 children of John Boorman in this movie.
That's right.
But by far, she has kind of got the rawest deal, no pun intended, to be kind of laid on a, I don't know, dining room table, mead hall table, something that doesn't look that comfortable, and proceed to have a man, arguably 2 men,
yes, yeah,
thrust away with a full set of armor.
Yeah.
Ladies, listening to the show right now, if you'd like to chime in and see how far you would allow that, maybe that could be something for the call-in number. But yeah, he lays her down on a table, and he is like besieged by lust at this point. Mm-hmm. There is no foreplay. He rips her kind of bodice out. He makes no query about the soundproofing of the net that is separating his the other child in the room. Mm. He actually gets the full daggers from Morgana, right?
Yeah.
And yet he is undeterred by the proximity of a 6-7-year-old child.
He doesn't have a lot of time. You don't ride across the dragon's breath to play patty cake, Kind of get the business.
Yeah, and that is there's a little ambiguity there about how long this would last, right?
Yeah.
Because he does have to kind of make his escape as well.
Yeah, they're fighting his men back at the the fort, and so they might be returning any moment. And
so if Uther Pendragon suddenly changes back into his real form, mm-hmm. Laying there with Pillow Talk, I think he's probably going to get killed by the guards. Right? He has to still find a way to get out, to maybe ride back across the dragon's breath
without transforming. Yeah, without back to himself. Yeah, that's the thing I love about this film. Just to interject, because you bring up the way you describe the scene so beautifully, is this movie is filled with imagery that when you're 8-9 years old, it literally imprints itself in your brain for the rest of your life. And that's what's so powerful about it. We will go into whatever problems the movies have, but as far as visually is just, it's just rife for young guys to watch and be like
the stuff of
haunted
what boys doodling in a Mead notebook for years is made of. Josh, before we get too far, did you have an association with Excalibur?
Yeah, but I didn't see it until I was in high school. This would have easily been my favorite teacher in school. He had us get waivers signed by our parents for, I think this was junior English. Had our parents sign waivers saying it was okay for us to watch this because it was violent and had nudity. And so anyone who got the waiver signed for basically, a week, because this is 2 hours and 20 minutes, or for 3 days of class, this is what we watched. And so that's the only time I've seen this movie in its entirety was in class my junior year of high school.
Over how many classes?
Over 3 classes.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But all the nudity was there. All the violence, all the nudity, all there.
Tell me again the class that this was for.
Junior English.
Junior English. Wow.
Were you guys reading something that had to do with Arthurian legend?
Yeah, I think we were reading. So I know that over the course, I was an English major, so it's hard for me to keep straight what Arthurian nonsense, I had to read for what. I think it was Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was that, but it could have been a portion of, Le Morte d'Arthur, there's Thomas Mallory. It could have been any of that shit. So, but I'm pretty sure it was one of those two.
This could have qualified for, health, sex ed / gym class as well.
But it was not. It was for lit.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of the extent of my experience. I've seen part of it since, but on cable and only half of it or something. So not another full viewing. So yeah, I don't have it as the formative early violence and nudity movie. For me, that was Highlander. Yeah, same swords and nudity, but
you don't strike me, or we've talked enough that fantasy kind of isn't really your jam either.
Yeah, correct.
So maybe it's not something that you saw, and
it's not something that I would go back to as frequently because I don't have the childhood association with it, and I don't typically have a yen for that.
Yeah,
But the funny thing about Excalibur to me, and the way I've always sold it, is I am really not a fantasy guy, and I am even way less of a comic book guy. It's never been my jam. But the way I've always presented Excalibur to people, it is a fantasy movie for people who don't care about fantasy that much.
Yeah,
because the elements in it are so adult and so insane. It's more of a psychedelic trip than it is a fantasy film to me. So
yes, this is a King Arthur film from the director of Zardoz.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what you're getting. If you know what Zardoz is, you're getting more a Zardoz King Arthur movie.
A little more controlled. He went off he pulled it back a little. He took
Zardoz was his vanity project that he'd been wanting to do.
He took one tab of acid for Excalibur, not 5.
Right.
Like Zardoz.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, Zardoz is completely batshit.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to admire how batshit it is, but what are you guys' relationship to John Boorman in general?
I'm a huge fan because and the funny thing with Boorman is that when you bring him up at a party in LA where I live, there's always going to be someone in the corner putting their nose up in the air and saying, "Oh, well, I don't like this and I don't like that." And Point Break. Whew, I wish he directed Point Break. That would be interesting. What's the Lee Marvin movie?
Point
Blank.
Blank.
Point
But Point Break could have had Lee Marvin in it. That would have been really
That
good.
would have been
as Johnny Utah.
Yeah, exactly. And John Voight from Deliverance could have been Brody. But yeah, so the director of Point Blank and Deliverance, those are two pretty big movies for me also when I was pretty young. And then but Excalibur is like one of my favorite movies, and it's one of those movies that I can't even explain why, which is probably why it's one of my favorite movies, because it's just, I can't explain it, I can't deconstruct it.
There's literally a je ne sais quoi about it.
Yes, exactly. It's like when you're attracted to someone, in a room that's beautiful, and you don't even know why, but she's probably not the most beautiful woman in the room, but you can't help it. You are drawn to her. That is my relationship to Excalibur. For
me, it kind of feels like the fantasy, like spirit of a Tombstone, where it's just unbridled testosterone. And
this means a lot coming from you, by the way, as you're probably the person I know who quotes Tombstone the most.
I think Tombstone is massively quotable. It's got one of the best kind of quippy scripts ever for a Western. But there's also just so much there's so much ham as well to that movie, right? It's just layered in ham and cheese. But they commit, those actors commit, Val and Kurt and the whole gang. You have a lot of talent in that ensemble, and there's something about that strikes me the same with Excalibur, where there's so much ham and cheese to this. It's garish, it's loud, it's mega violent, there's screaming, and yet everyone is so into it. It is
energy wise, it's very cock forward.
Very cock forward.
It's definitely got a bunch. It's got a lot of fucking full on just no, this is sort of medieval big dick energy.
And Josh, I mean, I no joke here, but I imagine that you were surprised that there was no hanging dong in this movie.
Well, no.
I mean, it's
no
very
dong. There is balls.
There are balls, but I mean, a full frontal Lancelot was most definitely shot.
Yeah, because there's another 40 minutes of this fucking movie that ended up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Including almost all of the Grail quest.
But, I mean, surely this is a movie that you think could have afforded.
Oh, yeah, it should have had a lot of dong.
It should have had more.
Yeah.
And I never say that. There should have been
more nudity in general, but there should have been dong. For 100%. Give the ladies something.
Mean, the way I describe it, usually to the uninitiated, is that John Boorman, at this point in time, became Sam Peckinpah for their British form of Western. Yeah. And this movie is directed the same way Peckinpah directed The Wild Bunch. It's like I'm taking a piece of history and I'm not fucking around, and I'm going balls to the wall that we are just as tough as Americans. We are just as brash as Americans. We don't give a fuck like Americans, but it's a different form of Western. So when I saw the film, it felt like me watching a Western. Mm-hmm. Frankly, except this Western has dragons and magic and the hottest Helen Mirren you've ever seen. Yeah, and and I say that without any shame whatsoever. She is so gorgeous.
I mean, Helen Mirren is seriously inner circle all-time most beautiful actresses.
Yeah, and has been a smoke show for
50, 60 years.
65 years.
Still going.
Still
strong. Looks great.
But
except for in the Gold of My Ear makeup, doesn't look that great then. But
Chad, just to kind of double down on what you were saying, this and Peckinpah is kind of a great analogy too. But the this is like the culmination of adolescent boys' wildest imagination coming to fruition. Like everything that is going on in an adolescent young boy's brain, like the id is now on screen.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly. And I think that's why it's such an interesting film to watch when you are 8, 9, even up to 12. It really did form me, even after I completely never saw it for years, when, you know, I was 14 on, I didn't see it for years. But then you would think about it in the strangest moments in your life, and you'd be like, this movie formed me in a strange way. And like you said in the beginning, Sean, I don't know whether to thank that or be cursed by it. I don't probably cursed. The movie has a subterranean emotion that is really uncomfortable, and I think that's what really drew me in initially. Also,
well, every sexual act in this film is a sin.
Yes,
you know, like there's not one sex act that is a just loving,
no,
a loving show of affection.
We don't get that scene with Arthur
and Guinevere. No, you get Lancelot and Guinevere. You get Uther and Igraine. And you get
Morgana.
The incest.
Morgana.
Yeah, Morgana and
Arthur.
And, yeah, Arthur.
Yeah.
And it
It's crazy.
seem to
You
be,
know, brother. I could kill you now, brother.
I'm almost a little surprised we didn't get Morgana and Mordred at one point, given like that's kind of where we were heading.
She might as well have, frankly. She might as well have. She loved that kid a lot.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah. Well, that was probably on the cutting room floor also. That
That's
was a
some
bridge
serious,
too far.
Yeah.
Serious mother love there. I don't know.
Yeah. He was a real mother boy.
He was an absolute mother boy. He reminded me, I mean, like...
Big Buster Bluth energy here.
So much of this movie you can see in Game of Thrones as well. Like,
big time.
Left and right.
Big time.
Yeah, there's no way George R.R. Martin didn't just fucking rip all of this straight out from, like, it's all just Excalibur.
The creators of Game of Thrones totally took the aesthetic 150%. When I saw Game of Thrones, which I think is fantastic in its own right, whatever, but I while everyone was shocked and falling off their stools, you know, I was like, man, I've seen this.
This is like the thing I watched when I was 8.
Yeah, that's what I saw when I was 8. And by the way, it's way creepier without trying to be. Yeah. The thing I like about the film is it as peck and paw as it is, and trying with the macho energy. The thing that is so impressive about Boorman, and always has been impressive, is the elements that are so creepy in Deliverance, and in this film, he's not trying. It's just there. It's just naturally under it's the subtext of the film. He's so good at that. And he has it in the Emerald Forest too, which is also an interesting film that he did a few years after this one. He's just a master of putting this surreal subtext in his films that make you feel intensely uncomfortable. Game of Thrones puts that on the surface constantly. So
it's not subtext, it's urtext.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. What's so I don't really know the Emerald Forest. What's the deal with it?
It's Powers Booth. I think it's 87. His son, Charlie Boorman, gets kidnapped by these natives in wherever this South African forest is. He has to go back years later. His son has been raised by these natives, and he goes back to find him. Basically. Right. But the movie has, like a lot of Boorman's movies, a lot of psychedelia. And it's fantastic. There's nothing like it. But one of the things I love about Excalibur, and I'm bringing it to you, gentlemen, today, is it has its own category for me, is movies when I saw young, that are not necessarily, I don't even consider this necessarily a fantasy film. It's in a category all of its own of movies I saw young that made me feel like I was watching a horror movie that's not a horror movie. This goes in with The Dark Crystal. This goes even in with The Death Wish, what I saw when I was young. It goes in with Angel, what I shouldn't have seen it when I was young. Firstborn is right there. Yeah. So these movies were on Z Channel and HBO, and you're 8, 9, 10 years old watching, and you're like, and then by the time I got to certain horror films, I'm like, whatever. It ain't no Excalibur. There's no bird pecking an eye out of a dead guy's face. The imagery in this movie is just, it's fertile for, like we've been saying, young boys with blood and lust and maybe a little bit of horniness. I don't know.
A little bit.
Yeah, right. A lot.
I mean, when I saw that, Chad, it's funny you brought that up, because when I saw that eyeball being plucked from the hanging corpse of a knight by a crow, I mean, well-trained crow, by the way.
Oh, man.
Well, they got a eye crow for that one.
They got you always want to call it an eye crow. But I had this weird, like, visceral,
the pun intended,
flash of like a memory burst. Right, I was like, oh God, yes, I remember that unsettling me as a kid, and in subsequent viewings, I remember like looking away when I knew that shot was coming. And on this rewatch, I, of course, had forgotten all the, all my warning.
All the, like, looking frames. Deep into the popcorn bowl or... Yeah,
I had forgotten the frames preceding it that had that were prompting me to look away. And I just I got it full flush, right in the face. The crow.
Oh, truly. It's actually one of the most violent images in the film, and it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that whole tree is
the whole hanging tree is insane. It's insane,
brutal, and to have like a laughing child to kind of escort you around it as well. I don't know. I mean, did he have more to do? Obviously, we're talking about John Boorman's son.
Yeah, Charlie.
As the young Mordred, did he have more to do in the Emerald Forest other than be a psychotic little shit?
No, much more, much. Way more sympathetic.
Okay.
You guys know what he's done more recently, right?
Charlie Boorman?
Yeah.
What?
Have you guys watched Long Way Down and Long Way Round?
Is that the show he did with Ewan McGregor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's him?
That's him. That's Charlie Boorman. So Charlie Boorman is like best friends with Ewan McGregor, and they fucking rode motorcycles around the goddamn world.
That's right.
On those two shows.
Okay, but not wearing his suit of armor.
No,
too bad.
No, and they have to take a boat around the Darien Gap.
Okay.
People watching Pluribus will recognize the Darien Gap now.
Yeah, that is really kind of blowing my mind. That's Charlie Boorman. Okay. I shouldn't say this quite at this point, because what he must be almost 60?
He's got to be.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. No, actually, I don't know.
He's probably mid-50s.
So. He's about my age. Because when I saw that movie,
because it's shot in 1980.
Yeah.
And he'd have been. He's 59 right now. He was born in 66.
Okay. Scared the hell out of me. Just awful. Just that child. You just want to murder him. It's just terrible.
Yeah, and the thing, obviously we can talk about this in every scene, but the thing that makes this movie a lot more disconcerting is the ADR. I mean, I think that this is like one of the strangest ADR, like, complete movies of this time. Obviously, it must have been a nightmare to record sound.
100%.
But when you ADR a child, right, and especially like creepy children, like Mordred and Morgana, that also like resurrected some visceral memory in me when Morgana does her as a young girl does her lines. My father's dead.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's so strange to
Yeah.
hear that voice
It
coming
is.
out of that kid. I mean, she does a really good job of just kind of like this flatness and and like unease with both those kids.
Yeah. Are you going to be the mother and the father of the child now, Merlin?
Yeah, it is a very weird dubbing.
It is
It's
weird.
also like, I don't know how you would get around it, having to do ADR so much, because it's almost all like medium to wide shots. Like
Yeah.
there aren't many close-ups that are, and certainly that are dialogue heavy. Almost everything's at least a medium shot, and most are wide shots. So like,
yes.
I don't. There's nothing you can hide a mic in if you're out in the fucking woods in County Wicklow or whatever. Like, you're just kind of SOL, and you just have to throw up your hands and be like, I guess it's gonna be ADR.
Well, Nigel Terry sounds like he's ADR to hell too, and I can't tell if it's because he's not a very good actor or because just the sound issues, whatever. A lot of his role, but this movie also brings me to another category in movies that I love that it's filled with imperfections.
Sure.
100%, but I wouldn't take one of them out because then the whole thing would fall apart. This is a movie you could show to someone these days and they'd be like, this is ridiculous mess, da, 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 da. And but to me, that's the creepy value of the film, is its imperfections.
Yeah.
Some of the bad acting actually adds to the strange subtext quality, surrealistic quality of the film. And if some of those actors were better, or
like Liam Neeson has some rough scenes.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
which is funny to me. Like I'm not complaining about it necessarily, but there were some scenes where like Neeson is rough.
Yeah,
and you saw his buddy there, not giving a lot of lines, but you saw
Kieran Hines.
Kieran
Hines or Hines, however the hell you say his last
name. Kieran hardly has any lines.
I
was really impressed by Gabriel Byrne.
Is that him?
Yeah,
but I couldn't ever hear them say his fucking name. So,
yeah. Gabriel Byrne. I read his book. He had a book about his life and memoir, and he talked about his role in this. And it was, I think, his first film, if I remember correctly. It's his second film.
His second, Neeson's third, and Kieran Hines' first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's talking about the scene where he's having sex with the daughter, and of course
he was daughter.
Yeah, but what he was really having sex with was a pillow.
Okay.
And but it's a pink pillow or something to make it look more flesh color. He's like, okay, and then Boorman's screaming at him, and he's like, what do I do? He's like, hump the pillow, hump it, and. And then at that moment, he had an existentialist moment. He's like, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Why am I here?
He had a come to Jesus moment.
There you go.
The answer proved to be yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
For Gabriel Byrne. I mean, it does seem like they are giving a lot of local actors. This thing was shot in Ireland, right? They're giving a lot of local actors their big break.
Big time.
You know, Kieran Hines, however you want to say it.
It's Kieran, I looked it up.
Okay. And Gabriel Byrne, of course, who, like, if you're Merlin and you're sitting there drawing the dragon's breath out and Uther Pendragon's just kind of camping out, taking a few Z's, to wake up screaming, like, I would be like, Jesus Christ, dude. What? Calm down. Like, there's no way.
Not one line that Gabriel Byrne has in this that's subtle. Everything he yells and screams and spits, it's just insane.
Can we talk about her dance?
Yeah,
yes,
I mean,
please.
I really feel like the dance is entrapment because the Duke.
And we're not talking Catherine Zeta-Jones here.
No, but the Duke. Like, orders her to dance, orders his wife to dance, and she gives it
110%.
110%. I mean, she's basically twerking, right?
Yeah, she's halfway between like 60s go-go dancer and Elaine on Seinfeld.
Yeah. But with kind of like estrus
Oh, yeah.
yawping.
Uh-huh.
She making these grunts
She's
and
in
noises.
heat.
She's throwing her hair back. She does that spin thing with like the her dress outstretched. And
I left out Stevie Nicks. There's a heavy dose of Stevie Nicks.
There is so much Stevie Nicks, yeah. But the men all kind of chiming in by banging
with their daggers on the table.
Yeah, it looks like they're kind of banging their gauntlets in a way, like with the beat. And I gotta say, like from a musical,
but symbolically, like pounding their dicks.
Yeah. Or pounding the boss's daughter.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, like, whether it was a lute or a lyre, there's like a really good solo in that song too. I was like, holy shit, he's breaking it down. Like,
I was gonna say, it is the funk version of classical music here. It's like the song has got like a great kind of rhythm to it, and it's so strange. It's such a
music,
strange scene.
Yeah, that music came flooding back. That do 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 do. I mean,
and then it gets hotter in intensity while she's throwing her ponytail around in circles or whatever, and and then Uther stands up.
Yeah, I mean, and the Duke doesn't can't really hear that conversation right between Uther and his man about I must have her. Right. He just sees that Uther is like the cartoon wolf at the striptease show, right? His jaw's on the floor, his eyes are zooming back and forth, bugging out of his skull. His tongue like rolls down like a carpet.
He's the coked out guy at Crazy Girls, the strip joint here in Sunset. He's the coked out guy in the front row there, who's just like, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah. The guy who cannot control himself on Sniffer's Row. Yeah.
He's an extra in the Girls video.
It is just, it's such a great smash cut, though, from like the Duke realizing that this guy he's just formed an alliance with is like busting through his codpiece to get to his wife, screams, next shot, war, full battle.
Yep.
like people chucking stones from a catapult and ramming a gate.
And it's a great scene. It's a great stuff. And I mean, the production value of this movie, I do think the production value of this movie makes up for whatever problems it has, or story or character development issues it might have. The production value just is like this beautiful gloss all over it, because it's amazing. And that's why every movie I saw afterwards that took place in this era just is so weak. I mean, you've never seen armor like this in another film. I remember I saw First Night in the theaters. I was like the first person to see it because I was so obsessed with Excalibur. And I go see these terrible outfits with Sean Connery and Richard Gere, and it's just a terrible movie. And I was like, well, where's the armor? Where's the black metal that I grew up with here? This is garbage, It's like growing up with death metal and getting pop music later. It's
and getting the distinct helmets, like the Duke's helmets have this kind of like bird like visor to it.
Yeah, but I think this is what happens when you don't have name actors. When your biggest name actors are Helen Mirren, who, I mean, she was a known person, but like she wasn't huge in 1980 when they cast her. And I mean, Nicole Williamson was like a Brit, not like a big name or anything like that.
Mostly stage.
Patrick Stewart's not a big name at this point.
Patrick Stewart. And you blink and you almost miss him in this, because I don't remember when he dies, but he must.
Patrick Stewart?
His character must die.
Yeah, he has to, right?
Yeah, but I don't know when it happened.
Yeah,
but that was probably, it's one of those things that's like, oh shit, they cut 40 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, to have cut 40 minutes of the movie, but still have so much like production value end up on screen is pretty fucking impressive. Like they shot 3 hours and still kept it, at like $11 million of, $1980. That's a lot of money, but like to have kept it at that and been able to shoot fucking like 20% of movie that's not here that we don't see. It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. It feels like almost a Coppola-like venture in its own way, too. It feels like he's taking chances, and a lot of stuff is going to fall on the editing room floor. It has an Apocalypse Now feel where it's mixing myth with history, with, and it does it in this seamless way that. And that's the thing I really enjoyed about it as compared to, which I still like Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones, again, is almost all fantasy. This is actually taking a piece of history and intermingling it with myth. And it does it in such a way where you believe the myth 100%.
In as much as we can, like, this is like one of those, like, it's so like long ago that it's hard to tell like what's actually historical. Like if Arthur was a real, because like it's from when it was fiefdoms in the British Isles or whatever. But
ages, man.
Yeah, we were talking about score, or we're talking about the Ludist or whatever. Sean, did you see who did the score for this?
I did.
Old friend Trevor Jones, who you sometimes like and sometimes don't.
He did
the Labyrinth score, which
he
Sean
did the Labyrinth score,
did not
which
like.
I thought was terrible.
But he also did the Angel Heart score, which you did like.
Oh, wow!
So this is one where I think he gets it right here, and that's not to say that he is doing all the work himself.
Sure, he's not Carl Orff,
or.
He's not Wagner?
Yeah.
Which, holy shit, they must have had like a Costco bulk deal on Wagner for this movie. It is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I think also that, Karl Orff's Carmina Burana.
Yeah.
This may be the first time
of it, I believe.
Yeah, this may be the first time that it shows up in this type of scenario. Maybe not the first time it's shown up in a movie, but the first time that it's shown up in some type of like attack or advance. I would see it 8 years later in Glory when they try to take, is it Fort Sumter or something? I can't remember which is the fort that they can't take. But yeah, Carmina Burana and is it like
Flight of the Valkyries? It's not Flight of the Valkyries.
It's not Flight of the Valkyries. It might be like from the ring cycle or something like that. But it is.
It's the one where he finally drinks from the cup and he gets his men for battle.
Yeah.
And then it has that beautiful score with the and the thing.
It's Wagner's Siegfried's Funeral March, Prelude to Parsifal, and Prelude to Tristan and Isolde.
Okay.
We were so close.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're from. That's just I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now. So,
they're from like,
but the Siegfried's Funeral March is from the Ring epic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They're classic operatic scores, and they really carry a lot of the action of this movie. They carry a lot of the drama in this movie. Nothing that Trevor Jones does as far as original compositions like sticks out for me when I watch this as like, oh, that doesn't fit.
Right. Which is really all you're like needing to do.
Yeah. Like if you notice it and you're like, what?
Yeah.
That's a bad sign. And
honestly, the second time the Carl Orff comes in, because it's in it twice, right? The second time it comes in, I thought it was a little odd, frankly. Like I thought it wasn't. I thought that the timbre of what the song is doing doesn't match the action that we're seeing on screen, but that's obviously not on Jones at all. That's on Boorman. So,
yeah.
Well, the thing I love about the movie too is that it has like an English. It's like an English major's wet dream. This film, because I was an English major like twice over, and all the poetry you're studying in college. Is directly from this movie, and it's all about how man and earth are intertwined, and there is no earth without man and man without earth. And if you notice and you watch this movie, when at the end, which is basically the get my men ready for battle. I will, blah, blah, blah. And he's riding by and all the flowers start to blossom again. And as everything dies, as Arthur dies, becomes to life when he comes back to life. And that's all in this, incredible, like, British poetry of Tennyson and whatever. And so when I was in college, I was reading, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Excalibur.
Yeah.
It's all Excalibur. But I love that Boorman is so proud of being a Brit. And it's one of these movies, it's like, I'm a fucking British, and I'm throwing everything British in this movie that you can fit into a kitchen, I swear to God. And he made it's unlike any other British movies I saw, though, up to that point, because British movies were very mannered, and this one is just so not. And to be fair,
neither is Zardoz,
no,
which is a sci-fi fantasy epic thing, but like he's definitely more than Deliverance is dealing with different source material, obviously, but Deliverance is also not polite.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think I was just used to seeing, whenever I see movies when I was a kid and they were British, it was just
it was A Man for All Seasons. It was Beckett. Yeah. It was
absolutely
yeah. So did you guys saw that this was born from Boorman and his screenwriter and longtime partner Rospo Pallenberg working on fucking Lord of the Rings?
Yeah,
that's right. Yes, I did see that. That's right. Mm-hmm.
I thought that was crazy. I did not know that they were. I'm morbidly curious as to what that would have ended up being, but like I know they used a lot of like sort of like set design and like armor and shit that they were going to use for this.
That's right.
Because they were basically no one was gonna give them enough money to make Lord of the Rings right.
What a great name too for your co-writer on the screenplay.
Rospo Pallenberg? Yeah.
Rospo Pallenberg is the guy that helps co-write Excalibur.
Who is like a fucking architect.
No
Rospo
shit.
Pallenberg was just a fucking architect that like Boorman met when he came to the US, and so like they hit it off, and he was uncredited on like the first 2 or 3 things that he wrote, and then they had a falling out over the Emerald Forest, and Pallenberg thought that Charlie Boorman shouldn't be the fucking star of the movie. And
probably right.
And so they had a falling out over that. They later, reconciled, but and then Rospo, you guys see what Rospo Pallenberg directed?
No.
Problem
Cutting Class.
Oh.
No way.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt's first movie.
Wrote and directed it.
He probably should have stuck with Boorman. Just kept his head down.
Yep.
Let me ask you guys what you think about the acting in this film. What do you think about Nigel Terry as King Arthur?
I think he sucks.
Yeah. It's the biggest problem with the film.
Right. I think that he's slight. He doesn't have the gravitas necessary. And like I get wanting to have like the Boy King thing work, because they fucking use the same actor for when he's supposed to be 15 and when he's supposed to be like 60.
They shouldn't have done that either.
They should not have done that. No. But I think it's the biggest whiff for the movie. And if you have a better King Arthur, I think this is more of a movie that like stays in the zeitgeist, Like I think that Excalibur, generally speaking, is like, okay, like a Gen X and elder millennial thing that like anyone under fucking 40 hasn't seen.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you kind of look at the biggest roles in this movie, and I think Lancelot's, for me was forgettable as a kid. I didn't follow that guy's career.
No.
I obviously didn't like Lancelot. He steals his best friend's girl. Guinevere is...
There's a scene that they even used in the trailer that didn't make it into the film that, like, is Lancelot saving her in the forest, but from some bandits or something?
I feel like I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that on some... I don't know. Maybe it
but
was,
like it helps set up like because the way it happens as we see it in this film, there's no fucking rhyme or reason as to why Lancelot and Guinevere. It's just his manimal magnetism, I guess. Like I don't know.
They just have a moment on a staircase. They look at each other.
It's so like, meaningless and like I don't know. Shit like that needs to be earned.
This is 1980. It's 1981, right? It could have been the Perm.
I think it was the Perm, which they both had, by the way.
Yeah.
But
Guinevere, played by the British Karen Allen, who, you know, I remember her being, you know, certainly a childhood crush for Guinevere in this.
Yeah, she's
oddly,
pretty, but she's
I just thought she was sort of like plain here. I think I built her up more in my memory. Mm-hmm. And when she's on screen here, I'm just kind of like, I'm just waiting for Helen Mirren, basically. Like,
me too. Yeah, and she's a little flat as an actress. She's not bringing anything to the role at all.
No, and I'm not saying anything about the acting caliber here. Yeah. I do think that every actor here is hamstrung a little bit by this ADR, and that you just there's such a displacement sometimes with.
The only one who might not be is Gabriel Byrne, who's screaming all of his lines.
Yeah, and he's not in there enough, right?
I know.
He's got 6 minutes, and then he pieces the hell out. But Nicole Williamson is so good,
great
as Merlin.
Yeah,
he is an absolute delight. He brings comedy in a weird way to this. I love the little touches, like whispering to the horses.
Yeah.
To take down the scaffolds. Yeah, I mean they I don't know how you do this without him and have it still linger for decades as a cult classic.
No, it would have been a mess without him, an absolute mess. And he is the anchor to this film, both you know, soulfully and as far as acting is concerned.
And the voice of Merlin is so unique. And so difficult to...
Well, he's the Sir Alec Guinness in this.
Yeah.
Right, but Alec Guinness does not have this, like... I can't even describe...
But I'm talking in terms of, like, gravitas added to this film that, like, helps it transcend what it would otherwise be. You know, like Star Wars, if Alec Guinness isn't in it...
Right.
We're not talking about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are bringing in theatrical chops to this. I think a lot of people are kind of, you know...
Nigel Terry is.
Yeah, a lot of people are coming in and unfamiliar with the camera.
Well, and Helen Mirren and Nicole Williamson were in Macbeth together 7 years earlier and fucking hated each other from it, and that's why Boorman cast them. That's why Boorman cast them, because he knew that there would like naturally be tension between the two of them.
There's some weird sexual stuff too, because she wants the information she can get from Merlin no matter what the cost. Right. I think in some legends they actually kind of have a relationship or something.
I believe that to be the case as well, but I'm no.
I mean, Merlin does play a total kind of asexual in this.
Yeah.
But
the funny thing about that is but at the same time, she's bringing something out in him that he's never felt, which is why she's able to get the something of making, the thrash, because he finally has feelings for a woman. She sexually excites him.
Yeah.
And that's such an interesting scene between them two, because you could see him trying to take her under his wing, but he's also getting excited by it.
The chrome dome was shining. And I don't know, I've never, I mean, it's a big choice to kind of put this metal yarmulke on Merlin.
Jackie wasn't wild about that.
Yeah, I don't know what it means. I don't know if there's some significance from the source material that mentioned this.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, later they have Helen Mirren in that like chrome bodice.
Right.
Oh,
and
amazing.
Jackie was sitting there thinking,
the greatest.
This is a castle in like, the 9th century or whatever, how fucking cold would she be? Like,
Right.
it's so drafty, and the only thing that's touching your skin is fucking metal. Like, you've got to be so cold. It's all Jackie can think of while we're watching that.
I believe they also put the old woman.
They
playing,
did. They did.
playing the kind of.
So awful.
Did they recast the metal?
They must have, because it did seem a little form fitting. I mean, say what you will about Mordred, he did not have the memory of what his mother was wearing, like in his mind when he comes into that tent.
That scene is fabulous.
Yeah, that's.
You see, the thing is with this movie is I know there's issues. I know that Nigel Terry's weak, but at the same time, I would never recast him. I wouldn't. First of all, I think he's got an interesting look, not as the teenage Arthur at all. And I'm glad that lasted 10 minutes. But as the adult Arthur, I think he looks like someone
once he has facial
he looks
hair,
like a
he
King
looks
Arthur.
okay. Yeah.
He looks good. And then he has moments of some genuine, good acting moments.
Yeah.
But
I don't.
he's not that bad.
Obviously, Chad, I don't think that you would change anything of this.
I don't change anything. I wouldn't change anything. But sometimes I want to, because like the metal, condom on his head and all this shit. I get it, and I agree. Sometimes I see it and I'm like, I don't know. But without it, it wouldn't be Excalibur. It's like everything is perfect to me.
Terry has such, it's not quite as fun as Merlin, but he does have such a distinct, weird articulation to his words.
Yeah.
It's almost as if he had a dialect coach for Old English and was working with like.
Well, you know what he was doing? He was doing like a Western English, like Cornish accent. That's what he was going for. He was going for like Cornwall or something, because Arthur was supposed to have been from, Western England. And so like he was going for something like that.
Okay, 99% of the audience did not catch that.
No, of course not.
Especially the guy with the tattoo on his leg. He didn't even catch that. Putting me to shame.
But it is a lot to ask of your actor to play a 15-year-old, naive, doesn't know anything.
Totally.
Sean, can you play 25?
How much Vaseline can I put on the lens?
And Sean, you look good for your fucking age. I'm not knocking it, but
right.
It's crazy to ask an actor to play 20 years younger than they actually are.
Yeah, you have him playing the Boy King.
Yeah, that was a mistake. That's the only thing I would change about this film, to be honest.
And then he's got to go through his entire kind of young king phase, his like the Camelot days, to use a descriptive word, and then he enters his Bob Seger phase,
which is my favorite phase. Of course,
yeah, which is just the and that's something too that like I didn't catch back when I was a kid, is
when Seeger system starts pumping in.
Yeah, when they put on night moves, get it, night moves. But the correlation with the land and Arthur, like I needed. I mean, as an adult, sure, but as a kid, I needed that to be reiterated a couple of times for me, so that I kind of understood what was going on and why Camelot is kind of falling in to disrepair. Because then it seems like we get this scene of peasants playing in the mud,
right?
Like kind of out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Like I needed some big transition into that where it's like,
I agree.
Well, I think that was in the 40 minutes.
Famine,
it had to be.
pestilence, blight.
Yeah.
Give me words that as a kid I don't understand, but that I would now, so that I can go, oh, okay, like he's unhappy.
Didn't they make it? Didn't they make it in the film though that there was a blight happening and Arthur was sick because
they did
of having sex with
it's a little
Morgana?
I mean, that's
like
definitely
he's in church and then a lightning bolt hits him, and it's and the inference is because this movie believes in God 100%. Sure. It's not.
Well,
this is not
it's doing away with
film.
the wizardry and all the bullshit. It's the end of that, beginning of Christianity. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also, God is kind of Arthur in some senses too, right?
Very
Like,
much so. Yeah.
we get Percival talking about,
You and the
You
land
are
are one.
you are the Lord, and speaking to that disembodied voice, and then it's Arthur.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And again, I think that is part of the British myth, though, that there's something about the land and the leader. When they're one, they rule. When they don't, everything falls apart. But I think when he has sex with Morgana, he becomes ill.
Yeah. Because
God strikes him down, or whatever strikes him down, and then that's when they need, to get,
Right.
they go on the Crusades or whatever, and then
they need to
find
the
him
Grail to
the Grail
right
to
everything. Yeah.
And right when he gets the Grail, and that stuff is really interesting too, because this movie has really strange twists and turns that you don't expect. It's so unusual because you're following this character for a while, then you're following Percival, who we see, in the beginning as a guy who's just helping the knights, and then the squire, then he gets knighted.
20 miles? What's the thing? He runs 20 miles behind
That's
Lancelot.
right. For Lancelot, and then he becomes one of the heroes of the story.
Well, and it's weird because it's so episodic.
It is
with so little concern for how each episode it like is led into from the previous one. Like
completely.
It's like disjointedly episodic. I'm not saying it entirely doesn't work, but it is an odd choice to have it be as chunky plot wise as it is.
It is. But yet Boorman threads it together with this strange emotion where I get emotional watching it. And
I think it's because the thematic work is doing the heavy lifting.
Yes.
And even if it's going over your head as a child, I think you can sort of like intuit what's going on.
You follow it like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it gets emotional towards the end. And every time I see it, I'm surprised I get emotional because it is so episodic, because it is, like you said, chunky. And I'll watch it and I'll see that it's not working as a story 100%, but then that's why I'm surprised by the emotions I have in it. And I'm like, how the hell did Boorman do this? How the hell did he get me to have these strong emotions with a movie that is so disjointed?
Now,
it's amazing.
This is about to get, as you helped me to, this is about to get released on a 3-disc 4K.
Unbelievable. Arrow Video.
Yeah. I do wish that in the 4K version, or in any version, really, I wish that we were getting the 3-hour cut.
Yeah, because
we're not. We're getting the standard 2 hour and 20-minute version, and then there are multiple versions of the 120-minute TV version that cuts out most of the nudity and violence.
Oh,
that was what they used to air during the days on HBO. HBO in the early 80s still had the anything rated R couldn't play during the day. That they obviously have since gotten rid of, but yeah.
Probably also cutting the weed cookies that Guinevere makes.
I remember seeing that as a kid and wanting those cookies so badly. I don't know why. I just did.
You could tell.
I remember.
You knew what was up. You were a hip kid.
I knew what was happening.
This go around, I remember watching the scene where Arthur is wounded in kind of his first battle, and Guinevere is like dumping palms of water onto his wounds, and I'm like, this is like the Dark Ages. Like there's no Neosporin. You know what I mean? Like everything is going to be infected. She is just scooping handfuls of water and then rubbing her hands into his wounds. He's got 2, maybe 3 weeks to live.
Yeah.
I also like the the advent of HIV in the early scene when two men are cutting wrists and then rubbing them together.
Yeah.
That's where it started.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things started in this. I think, I mean, I did not remember that Morgana, like, basically created wet markets and probably started COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a scene where she's got, like, dead snakes, bat blood. She's pulling a fucking frog I mean, it's... And I don't think boa constrictors are native to England.
She's still alive and took that to Wuhan.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a Wuhan wet market scene in this.
Yeah.
She was a neophyte at the time. Merlin came in there and schooled her.
Yeah.
He's like, "What are you doing? What is this crap?" Yeah, and of course, referring to my tattoo, to me, the highlight of the film is Mordred. It has nothing to do with acting. It has everything to do with the imagery. That armor is absolutely incredible. Pretty cool. There's nothing in Game of Thrones, nothing I've ever seen since comes close to Boorman's choice to put that kid and the adult Mordred in gold. It just
and he
sticks
looks
out.
You know, he just looks like the most eugenic of all, like, young men when kind of older Mordred is exposed.
How much would you guys give to have Trump in that?
Oh man.
In what?
In that gold, like, but it needs to be form-fitting, I think, but
That'd be tough.
I mean, there are kind of abs articulated on that armor, so I think that might be a stretch.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mordred's such a great villain. I was confused. I didn't really notice it as a kid, but I think if we're talking about, like, the breakdown of the screenplay and some of the plot holes, like, I am really not sure where Mordred got these guys from. Who are the knights that went with Mordred, and why does King Arthur have so few men left? Right?
I assume it's because the kingdom's in such disrepair that there's a certain degree of, like, blame, like obviously that again is presumably stuff that's on the cutting room floor and was there in a previous iteration. But I assume that it's got to be because Camelot's fallen into such a state.
Because when he rides out to fight Mordred, right? Like, he's got like 10 guys.
Tons. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, there's the details this movie is not strong on. I think the thing I like about it the most, and we've been hitting on it, is that this movie doesn't have a basic plot where, okay, there's Camelot, he's doing good, there's an enemy, they got to go after him, like your basic Bond villain. Everything that is spoiled in this film, or rotten, or even Mordred, it all comes from within. It's not from outside of Camelot. It's all born from within. So, Lancelot and Guinevere, that's within. Him having sex with Morgana, his sister, for Christ's sakes, that's within. Everything is rotting from the inside out. So it's almost like, it's kind of almost a classic White House story, or any story like that, where it all starts from the seed of destruction, starts from within, and then it brings them down. And then I think that's where the emotions come in from the movie too, is when he gets control of himself again and goes out with his men and stuff like that. It's a rebirth of him, not just Camelot, but him as a leader. And when he in the second act of the film, where he's doing really well with Camelot, he's too cocky. He's gotten ahead of himself. He's like, oh, I'm not going to fight. Lancelot will fight for me. Yeah. And then he fights his wife about it. And he's like, I'm a king. I can't do that shit for you. So he loses his way. Mm-hmm. And the movie is pretty good about showing that in a subtle way. It's not knocking you over the head with it. Right.
Yeah. And I think it helps that, like, all of these like themes that they're entertaining and exploring are essentially, like, universally transferable. Like, I mean, they're transferable to the US right now,
Oh, big time.
Like, the rot's coming from fucking within,
Yes,
like,
exactly.
And so,
the apple blossoms are not growing.
No. So it's like, it is helpful that it's, like, universally translatable.
Yeah, very broad themes, but done in a way that is so surreal. I mean, I remember I saw this film with a friend of mine at the New Beverly who's never saw it, and he came out just in it, loving it, but completely dazed and not able to put it into words. Yeah. Again, the movie feels like you're tripping on acid a little bit at one point. At one point, it loses all sense of its own reality.
Right.
And it creates its own fucked up reality, especially with the Percival stuff. Yeah. When we follow him, that's where we go through a lot of the darkness.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. I did like 5 or 6 double takes watching Percival just to make sure that it wasn't like time traveling Noah Taylor.
Yeah, truly, he looks like Noah Taylor a lot.
I was like, holy God. I don't know if this is the first movie that does this, but hats off to the corpse design in Excalibur for having skeletons retaining their beards.
So great. So
great. Does the beard hair come from the jawbone? I this whole time, guys, I just thought it was part of the epidermis, and that when that was gone, it was just going to be. But no,
if I pluck a hair out right now, it's going to hurt.
Because it's from
down
your jawbone.
To the bone.
Yeah.
They look like the corpses from those Spanish horror films from the 70s, like Night of the Seagulls, where there's the Moors that become zombies, but they're all skeletons, but they all have beards. Nice. If you haven't seen these movies, check them out.
They look a lot like the Army of the Dead from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Those guys, I believe, kept their beards, but still had.
They might have been conceptualized for that,
Yeah, yeah.
And I have one more. This question you guys can help me with. When Lancelot is, I guess he already had sex with Guinevere. He goes to the woods by himself, and he fights himself.
Yeah,
and he fights himself and
runs.
He wakes up. He's stabbed himself with his sword right through his side. Right.
Yeah.
That was an odd.
Well,
scene.
And that wound never heals. He never gets that wound to heal.
That's right.
It's never healed, but I think Chad's talking about just like kind of the clunkiness of how that's constructed because
I think it makes total sense.
Sure. Okay. Well, two against one.
I'm joking. It's it's
Josh is like, that's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
It is weird to think about like the mechanics of how that would work.
Right.
If they're gonna do it that way, they should cut back and forth between his dream state fighting himself and his asleep state from like the exterior. Like there should be cross cutting between the two.
Or even, just at the very least, have the sword coming through the other way, as if he fell improperly, right? Like we get the great impaling of the Duke through the back as his horse rears and lands him on the spears or whatever the hell those things were. Something similar to that would have been good, but the way that it's like thrust down through the top of his hip into the ground, I mean, that is some gymnastics that you got to be pulling off to run a sword through your hip.
Like I'm pissing myself. Yeah.
A broad sword.
I screwed my best friend's girl. I think I'm going to just stab myself through the fatty part of my belly. Right. What the fuck?
I would have liked older, apologetic Lancelot to look a little bit more like young Lancelot.
Oh my God.
I couldn't tell who the fuck that was.
It was the third time I saw the movie when I was young that I'm like, I just thought it was some old guy. I didn't even know. And then the third time, I'm like, holy shit, that is Lancelot. He looks like Lebowski, and you're just like, what?
Or Grizzly Adams.
Happening? Grizzly Adams, right?
Yeah.
And
it's wild.
He looks like an Allman Brother that just kind of shows up out of the mist to like right the wrongs of yore.
And then when he's dying, he says, "It's the old wound." Yeah,
it's the old wound. Yeah, I mean, granted, surgery back then is not going to be what it is today. I do think that Kay looked like his brother. Like young Kay, still they did the aging well on that actor. Kay, by the way, I just want to point out, in my mind, at least in my cinematic memory, is responsible for the quickest lie and then fessing up of a lie as I've ever seen on film.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Kay, was it you that drew the sword? Yes. No. They keep it in the same shot. Like
I know.
He doesn't even look to Arthur, right?
I know. It's like, that was great.
He's like, the bile that has welled up in his body in that 1.5 seconds was too much for him to bear, and he had to fess up to his dad. I love that. And, again,
it's those clunky scenes that make this movie so damn interesting, though.
Yeah.
That, right? Because if you just had a straight reading from a great actor, this just would not have the same vibe.
There wouldn't be. There's a charm to that. There's a
Yeah.
charm to how hilarious that is.
There is.
That is kind of like, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of on board for how funny that is.
Right.
I wrote a whole scene about the withdrawal of Excalibur from the
This
stone.
is on AO3?
AO3. No.
The fanfic site, sorry.
So my the sketch group
Yeah.
Bath Night, I wrote a scene called "Let the Boy Try," and
Let the
it
boy
is-
try.
I think that line is. I mean, Boorman must have had just said, "Now a couple of you, I want you screaming out, let the boy try," and every extra took that to mean they were to yell, "Let the boy try."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing they didn't have to redo via ADR.
Right.
Yeah, I like how you get blessed with cilantro right before you try to pull the sword from the sword. Like I was sleeping on the job when Arthur came up.
Now, there's some good lines in it. It's not the greatest script in the world, but there's some great lines. And the one that always stuck with me is when Mordred faces King Arthur for the first time, and he's like, "I come here for Camelot," or whatever, and King Arthur's like, "I can't give you that. All I can give you is my love." And he goes, "That's the only thing of yours I don't want."
Yeah.
A great line. I mean, there's moments in the movie that has high class A+ acting, and then suddenly there'll be a scene with ADR clunky acting, and it's thrown in together in this stew, and it's very odd. I've just never seen a movie that has both of those almost an equal value.
Right.
What do you,
you know?
Chad? I mean, Josh, I'd like to hear from you too. But what is the best kind of dramatic or the best acting sequence in this movie to you?
I do think it's when Arthur is older and wizened. And I think the scene where he talks to Guinevere when she is a nun now, and he confesses basically that he was not a good husband to her. I think that scene is actually genuinely affecting. And it's a scene that could be so badly handled and you could snicker at it and be like, this is awful. But it actually brings a lot of emotion that you've been experiencing up to a pinnacle in that scene. And he actually says to her, he actually calls her my wife. And the way he delivers those lines is pretty good. It almost seems like a totally different actor than we saw earlier in the film, which I like because it makes me think that sometimes that Nigel Terry was growing as an actor as his character was growing as a person almost,
Yeah, maybe he should have had some more scenes with his wife. That could have been cool.
That could have been cool too.
Josh, did you have an example?
I mean, nothing's jumping to mind. Maybe the scene between Morgana and Merlin, where she tricks him. Maybe that.
In the Fortress of Solitude down there?
Yes, in the Fortress of Solitude. Absolutely what we said while we were watching, a couple nights ago.
For me, the most dramatic scene, and I think like the best kind of I don't know, maybe the best, the one that I remember as a kid, like really just kind of feeling goosebumps with, and then again this time, was when young Arthur turns the sword over to Urians and is knighted.
It's great.
And they're just like, they're soaking wet. You know, they've just tried to kill each other. And he does that thing where like he hands the weapon to the guy, and you see the hesitation in Urians, and someone's like, "Keep the sword, you know?
Yeah,
keep it, it's yours." And he puts his life in Urian's hands, and you have that great cutaway to Merlin, kind of like suddenly being like fascinated because he goes,
"What's this? I've never seen this.
I never saw this coming," or whatever. Yeah.
Is
and
this
then
about to go tits up?
And then he rises, you know, King Arthur. I think that was like, it's such a swelling emotional moment, and it is what, in many ways, what the Knights of the Round Table loved and saw in Arthur was this equality, and this understanding that he had with these knights. There was no, ego a lot. Yeah, right.
He was pragmatic, and he was a good leader for sure. And until he got ahead of himself, it's a classic story, right? But I think that who steals the movie and every scene she's in is Helen Mirren.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
She, she actually just steals the damn movie.
And she's underused
every line.
too.
She is. I wish there was more of her. I truly do.
I mean, she takes an hour to show up, unfortunately, which is,
a huge bummer when you're
I don't
wanting
think they
Helen
knew what
Mirren
they
to show
had
up.
when they cast her. But yeah, she's great. I mean, the only thing that I would have known her from before this would have been, what's the one with Bob Hoskins?
The Long Good Friday.
Long Good Friday, yeah.
What a great film.
Sean.
What have I seen her in?
Caligula.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. How did I forget this, too?
Prior to this.
Oh, my God.
I mean, Caligula came about, 15 years after I watched this, but...
Was Caligula
Sean and I went
1980?
I believe so. Sean and I went to Caligula in the theater back in...
The newer version? The recent one?
No, back in 2000.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember many people being there either.
There were some people.
Yeah, there was
you, me, and Christian.
Were you guys wearing raincoats?
No, but there were people wearing raincoats.
We were sitting...
We were in the balcony.
We were sitting too close to each other, though, for sure.
You guys should have had a seat between you. I'm sorry.
But this was the Guccione cut. This was the full Guccione. Like, this was not...
Yeah.
This was not the cleaned up version. Anyway.
Yeah, Morgana's. You're absolutely right, and I never really thought about it. She comes in too late.
Yeah,
she stays too quickly, but she makes such a dent in this film.
Oh yeah,
and she is done dirty there at the end.
Oh, bad way to go for such a beautiful woman.
Way to go.
I mean, you watch that if we were all women and we watched that, that'd be the most horrifying.
Oh yeah,
scene in the film.
That's the horror movie. Well, that and all the rape, I guess.
To lose. Oh yeah. Oh, there's that. But there's losing your beauty in 1 second.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that's so disconcerting as well is that she approaches Mordred kind of happy to see him.
That is odd. Yeah,
it's
my
weird,
boy, my sweet boy,
and that makes it so much more
disturbing.
Terrifying. Yeah.
Oh, totally. And the fact that he probably had sexual feelings for his mother, because when he sees her like that, he literally has to murder her. So, a lot of Freudian shit happening.
I mean, there's this is a textbook of psychology.
And what? And Josh, have you revisited this whole film recently, or?
I literally watched it. I watched it for this. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And what were your impressions, basically?
No, I would overall? I have I have pages of notes.
Fantastic.
I don't want to get too far into the weeds on like how I felt about it. I could do that at the end. But I was surprised at how clunky it was.
Mm-hmm.
How episodic it was. I thought that it would be more cohesive than it is. It's so segmented in a way that doesn't flow especially well. Like, I feel like there's stuff that they could have excised that, is here. And then there's other stuff like the Grail quest is like clearly almost entirely cut out, like per Wikipedia and Boorman. Like, I think there's a lot of, there should have been way more Morgana. Like, I think there were ways to, frankly, you could have cut almost the entire first 20 minutes out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only reason it wasn't cut out is because it's Boorman's daughter, Like, I think if it hadn't been Boorman's daughter, you could have just started with the Sword and the Stone bullshit. Or not bullshit, but the Sword and the Stone stuff, and like just start. That's where the movie starts.
Or you start with Gabriel Byrne at bedside with Igraine, and her realizing, like, you don't actually shoot the rape by deception.
Right, yes.
You have the baby plucked from her, which, grabbing the hair is such a great visual. Like, that baby is just like, I don't want to go with Merlin.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
I am in distress. But like Merlin taking this child, I would have loved a scene, if we're sacrificing that, a scene where Merlin gets this kid to Arthur's adopted father, whose name I'm forgetting, unfortunately, but father of Kay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you could have began it there with Uther being
the other
off
reason they didn't do that? They shot the opening battle 3 fucking times.
Oh
wow.
The first 2 times they shot it, the film was underexposed, and so they had to reshoot the entire fucking battle sequence not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times. And the original DP had a nervous breakdown and walked, and then Alex Thompson comes on and gets Academy Award nominated. He's the sole Academy Award nominee for this film for best cinematography.
Wow.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of like,
and it does look great, like
it's gorgeous.
There's a lot of whataboutisms we could do with, screenplay. I don't know. I don't know how much we want to
dive into
rewrite history here before we get to.
I think you're right. Like I said, with everything, you're right. The thing I do love about the film is probably because I saw it when I was a kid.
Sure.
It screams 1980, 81. It just screams it. It's the most 1980, 81 movie I've ever seen.
But to be fair, it's so much better than most of its contemporary, like Sword and Sorcery fare, fantasy fare.
Totally.
Maybe.
Totally.
Like, maybe
it takes
Legend looks as good.
Seriously.
Maybe Legend looks as good. I don't like Legend, but maybe it looks as good as this. But there are not many like fantasy films of this era that look as good as this do.
No.
It does.
Mm-mm. That's why I think it's got a peck and paw quality.
Yeah.
Listen, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid is not a perfect film. If I were actually I should have actually made the comparison instead of Wild Bunch. I should have made the comparison
to one of the
Pat
more
Garrett,
flawed films. Yeah,
of the coked up, whiskey soaked peck and paw films, which is Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. But that movie feels so much like Excalibur. Mm-hmm. It's
rough around the edges, but there's a charm to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I still wouldn't change a thing, because then you take away some of that surreal magic of that film.
Yeah, and like around the like periphery of this film, there is like just weird, like some of the battle sequences are shot so like differently than you're ever seeing. Like it's almost like it's happening in a black space, like there are weird like sort of, I don't know if it's expressionistic, but there's weird like flair to the way a lot of the battle and a lot of the like more fantastical stuff is shot, that is interesting, that is like just fundamentally like, oh, that's an interesting way to have gone about making this.
Yeah. And just the lady in the lake
Yeah.
herself is incredible.
Mhm.
And the thing is like, the thing I don't like about movies these days is how not AI untactile they are. And
Right.
this movie's all so tactile. And it feels like those myths are actually existing with the humans at the moment.
Sure.
And the fact that they don't show a real fucking dragon makes the dragon much more real to
100%.
me. And if they had a real dragon with his ears and his snout in this movie, it would just be
It would look like
mess.
Falcor.
Yeah.
Still so weird to me that Falcor's a fucking dragon, but whatever.
Yeah, but you're right, Josh. And it's episodic, it's clunky.
Mhm.
But yet I do think it's threaded together with Boorman's aesthetic, which has an emotional weight to it
Right.
somehow.
Yeah. I'm
Somehow.
like, I think it, like,
Sean,
is
do you
there-
agree
is
with
there-
that? Do you think there's emotional weight to this film at all?
Yeah, and I think that
And you two are to be clear, you two are the two who grew up with it, so you would have more of an affinity for it than I would as someone who like saw it once or twice and
Absolutely.
didn't have a childhood attachment to it, which is fine. Like that is obviously like most of the point of this fucking podcast.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It makes a big difference. Yeah.
the thing that it has going for it, though, that other movies of its ilk do not, is that it is the most famous fantasy tale in kind of English language for.
Sure.
This is not like a Krull, where these are all original characters and original IP, and we're entering this world. And
I almost did a spit take when you said Krull.
well, it's one of the kind of offspring of Excalibur.
It is. Big time.
It's like a stepchild of it. And they
Redheaded
have,
stepchild, but
they have like laser swords in some scenes. I mean, there's some kind of sci-fi elements to that world. But this is from this, excuse the term, but cauldron of magic and folklore and old English writings and legends. I mean, I don't think that this movie is successful or has this type of emotional punch to it if it is not like the most famous old English legend of all time.
True.
well,
That's true.
one of two. The other one, of course, being Robin Hood, which is the last episode we dropped. And we were obviously doing the Disney version of it, which was, divorced from everything.
We're gonna have to do Beowulf after this, Josh.
Oh boy.
But I think both of those are helped out a lot by everyone's familiarity with at least the broad strokes of the legend,
Truly. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I agree, and I also think that Boorman in his films, I've seen it with Deliverance and this one in particular, and Emerald Forest actually, there's an emotional quality that sneaks up on you later. It doesn't happen through the first and second act. It sneaks up on you in the third act. And it does that with Point Blank too. At the end of Point Blank, you almost get this emotional, existential noir gut punch at the end that the movie was leading up to. And the same thing happens with Excalibur. It's leading up to that moment where he's on that boat with those nuns. You know what I mean? And you're like, this is an opera. I get it now. This is just a big fucking opera. And then you feel it. You feel some kind of strange transcendence at the end.
Sure.
But the journey there is messy as shit,
So do we have any just like loose scraps that anyone wants to pick up here? I mean, I have a couple of points, but other than that,
I like that he kills him. I like that he kills his son with a fucking sword through the chest cavity.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, we never mention rape in this movie, right? But it is very much kind of how things are done, with the exception of the Lancelot.
in history and
Yeah, but the phrase, like the term that you would bring kind of in a trial would be rape by deception.
Sure. Right.
Which, we would see 3 years later in Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
But the way that they
where I was going to go, dead serious.
Yeah. The way that they phrase it is when Igraine is trying to talk about, where this kid came from, right? And Uther asks, is it mine? And this, that, and the other thing. She says, a man came to me and loved me. And I went, as I'm watching this, I said, that's one way to put it.
In the S&M world, it is,
But Merlin does this when he's trying to basically convince Uther to ride out onto the dragon's breath. He says, your lust will hold you up.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is like such it is exactly what he needed to hear at that moment.
Truly.
Because that's how much of a horn dog he was. I mean, I like there's little touches I mentioned, like with Merlin talking to the horses. I also like when Uther impersonating the Duke comes into his castle, the dogs growl.
That's right, yeah.
Which is the first time that I've noticed that. I just thought that was a really nice touch. Like, they know something's not right.
I do like the editing in this film. Even though it's a bit of a mess story-wise, there's moments like when he takes
40 minutes is a lot to have to cut out of a movie.
It's a lot.
To be fair.
Yeah. It's a lot. But I just think there's moments of editing. There's a moment where Arthur is really lost at the end, really scared, and he's asking for Merlin. Merlin's been encased in the underworld, and he hits that rock, and then suddenly Merlin comes alive. There's moments that just evoke emotion in a strange, fantasy realm. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got, because I just think but me, whatever, man. It was my first introduction to violence and sex. What am I gonna not like this movie? Good
right,
Lord,
right. No, and like it is like a, no pun intended here, seminal moment. Like for the child for whom this is that movie, you're going to have like an emotional weight tied into that, and a psychosexual thing going on too.
Big time.
Like it's inarguable that you're not going to be like, that's why I still like Highlander. I bet if I didn't see Highlander until I was fucking like 40, I'd hate that fucking movie. Totally. It's clearly not good, but
right.
It's a disaster, awesome. And it's awesome.
It's clearly not good, but it's good.
Yeah, right? it's fucking good. Awesome.
But it's great.
So I got a couple of weird, just one-off notes. When I saw that rock that had the face on it, I did wonder who was going to face fuck the rock.
I remember that.
So I had that. I had when Guinevere's going off to find Lancelot, I thought that she could probably smell his dick for miles, and that was the only way that she was. That was how she was zeroing in on where Lancelot was.
Spare a moment, real quick, Josh. I'm glad you brought that up. For the side saddle ability,
she was.
That's right.
Crazy side saddle. Both Jackie and I were like, "Holy shit!" Her legs are so far forward on that side saddle style. It was crazy,
and she was galloping.
Yeah, her legs are basically on the mane of that horse.
Yeah.
I mean, and she's got that long dress that looks like a wrong move from a horse is going to drag that thing down. I mean, and it's the actress. It is the actress doing that.
Yeah.
Her
So
horse
Patrick
game's
Stewart
on
trained
point.
her well. Yeah.
My last note that I feel like I need to get out there is incest baby prank.
What does that mean?
He says
that's Morgana tricking her half brother and
oh yes, of course.
So incest baby prank. That's it.
My husband, my brother.
Yeah. So this cost $11 million purportedly. Did anyone look at the box office for it?
I heard it did not do well, did it?
It didn't make 30 or something.
It made 35 domestically, which was apparently Box Office Mojo's all fucked up for 1981. So I don't know how, but it's apparently 18th at the box office in 81, which is actually fairly good. Although way fewer movies were coming out in 1981 than there are now.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that, Josh, something you said earlier, you hired a bunch of Irish stage actors.
Yeah, to have no names and do that well is...
There's no names.
Yeah, your ensemble is largely stage actors and kind of no names. So you're saving a lot of money on the front end of this thing.
Yes.
Production is kind of where you spend the money.
Right.
But, it can be done. It's, almost impossible to think of like a theatrical kind of mainstream movie being released into theaters now that doesn't have a name.
Outside of like a horror movie, which is
sure.
by design.
Yeah, you have to excuse horror, but I mean they knew where to spend their money on this movie, and
the marketing was amazing.
And it wasn't on the
poster, the marketing, the poster art is gorgeous.
It's the famous artist, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think the guy who did the Excalibur poster is like kind of that famous poster artist. But he has like a whole book of
love the art. Love that poster. Amazing.
Yeah, it's Bob Peake.
Okay.
Bob Peake. He's the father of the modern movie poster.
No
and
doubt.
If you look up Bob Peake stuff, it's all going to be like, I mean, you'll see it. You'll see all.
I mean, the poster is sick.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the best part of the movie, let's face it, is its overall aesthetic.
Yeah, sure.
You could put this movie on in the background and at a party, and people will stop and be like, "What the fuck?" It is just groundbreaking as far as the imagery is concerned.
Right. We may as well hit Saving Graces right now. And, like, obviously, that's like. Do you have anything different than that, Sean? Or do you?
Saving Graces, one, I think it's great that they basically go with the they take the standpoint that young King Arthur invented kicking. Because like in his like coming out battle, he kicks like 70 dudes. Mostly off the scaffolding and mostly off ladders.
He also is the only motherfucker not wearing any armor.
Okay, that leads me to my second saving grace.
Okay.
Which this movie absolutely excels in making the audience feel how fucking awful it would be to wear a suit of armor.
Totally. Absolutely.
This is like, when you look at like modern battles, there's all this choreography.
Yeah.
And like, the recent Gladiator is like,
oh God,
ducking
awful.
And swiping.
So bad.
And kind of like, karate moves and
it's ridiculous.
Parrying. And this is like swinging, like a lot of just like clubbing you in the back with a sword, trying to like, kind of like damage it, trying to find a chink in the armor, but
internally concuss your organs or something. Like,
exactly,
my God, like the weight and the clunkiness of having to move around in this and climb a ladder. And there's that scene when Uther is trying to escape, and like the knights are chasing him after they've kind of like ambushed him, and they're sliding down that hill and having to wade through the water. Wearing a suit
it's like
of
a chase
armor.
scene.
Yeah,
it's a chase scene.
Yeah,
but he's moving he's moving like a slug, and they all are. But it still has a momentum to it because that armor is
there
insane.
is no like cool sword play in this. It is like it is exactly not what Game of Thrones was, right?
Right,
exactly.
With how deft and stylistic and cool a lot of those sword fights were. This is like, look, we're just rock'em sock'em robots with swords.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to like brain you, essentially.
Right.
I thought it just feels so realistically annoying to like have to wear a suit of armor and still fight. And so like when you see
it intimates the reality of what it would be like to have to fight in that fucking game.
There's an authenticity to this movie. silly as some of the
It's because
fantasy
they're all having to wear
sequences are.
real fucking armor, probably.
They're wearing real armor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's a great point.
And like the last thing, I mean, again, this movie is just, as you said, kind of all visuals, but like how great is the establishing shot of Mordred's birth, where you have the midwives in this like shame,
amazing,
black, like they can't even show their faces. There's such sin that is happening with this kind of incestuous birth.
Well, and even Morgana's, done up in black too.
Right,
this is
right. And that great pregnant belly, and she's laying on that slab, and I think there's a storm going
Mirren
on.
got
or
pregnant for that shot.
Yeah. Who the father was, we'll never know. But
not
well,
Taylor Hackford.
She met Liam Neeson on this movie, and they had they went together for quite a while. Yep. Yeah. Liam Neeson tells the story on what was that guy's name? On the British talk show host. Graham Norton. He tells the story because he was actually on with Helen Mirren.
Okay.
And he's like, he goes, me and Ciarán Hinds were hanging out. He goes, it was like my second day on a shoot, one of my first films. He goes, and she comes out dressed as Morgana from her trailer. And I turned to Ciarán and I said, fuck.
I mean, for me, she's a saving grace. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I love Helen Mirren anyway, but like, she's great in this.
She's a great actress. She does it naturally. She just fits into the role beautifully. It's great. Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
The last thing I'll say, and this isn't really a saving grace, but I kind of just went down the rabbit hole a little bit on this cast, and it is surprising how many of these actors died young. Like
really?
A lot of these guys died in their like late 40s, early 50s. Nigel Terry being one of them.
Yeah. What? Really?
It did
what
not
happened on this set?
Well, here's what I'm presupposing. Boorman, for almost every war scene, used burning tires for smoke.
Did he seriously?
Right, I heard about this.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I
That's
heard
why it's
about
so
this.
black.
It's so black. And like actually there were
Well, it'd be like being next to the fucking like trash fires in Iraq and Afghanistan. If you're on a base, if you're U.S.
Well, it's like that Marco Polo movie with John Wayne. Where...
Yeah. I mean, I just when you guys have a second, just go through this cast, especially people who played knights or people who were around battles.
Wow.
Not many people. I mean, Urian's, oddly enough, is like kind of the one exception. He lived all the way to like 2020 and then died of COVID.
Patrick Stewart's still kicking.
Patrick Stewart's still kicking, but
there's
like
okay.
But
that's crazy.
That's crazy. I'm definitely going down that rabbit hole.
It is really nuts. Nicole Williamson died young. Nigel Terry died young. Lancelot died young. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. Again,
That's insane.
I can't prove that it's the burning tires off camera, but it definitely
can't
doesn't
not
help.
prove it.
Yeah.
Do we have any? We're doing this a little out of order, but any major gripes?
The title font in the beginning sucks. It's fucking terrible.
yeah. That
it's
is
bad.
cheap. Yeah,
it's
pretty cheap.
Birthday card balloon font or something like that.
Or
bad.
like Conan like animated like comic books basically.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah, and then ADR obviously
Sure, right.
I think is a big pain in the ass in this movie.
ADR for me and Nigel Terry as a teenage Arthur. Still, even to this day, it just rubs me a little bit the wrong way. But I mean,
35-year-olds can't play 15.
So bad. And as you get older, because when you're young, you have the veil of just fantasy. You're not thinking about it. But when you're older, you watch, you're like, oh, good Lord. But what last saving grace for me, which is going to make me sound like a perv, but I don't care, is the movie's just unabashed carnality. Sure. It does not give a fuck. Right. It does not care. It is the polar opposite of the cinematic world we live in today. Mm-hmm. And the problem I have with the cinematic world today is the stories have to be pitch perfect. Everything has to make sense. It has to have reasoning, but yet it is boring as shit. And they're safer than hell. Yeah. This movie is the opposite. The story doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a bit of a mishmash, but
this didn't get focus grouped.
But it doesn't give a fuck. And and that's the kind of cinema I enjoy the most. And especially when it comes to its sexuality. Because it's not mannered. It's just there. Right. And it just presupposes you should understand as an adult and not question it.
The focus group was a 24 11-year-olds on a sleepover at 1 a.m.
They're all like,
and like
yes.
They're giving it a thumbs up, man.
they just screamed high on like 3 cans of Mountain Dew.
Completely.
They just screamed out ideas, and Boorman just like
it was Charlie and his friends.
Yeah.
There's
no way that kid isn't screwed up.
Oh, totally. Completely. Yeah. I've thought about Charlie Boorman after this film. I'm like, how did he get by? Why wasn't he not sniffing coke off hookers' asses for the rest of his life?
I mean, he may have been, but he could have. It seems like he has stopped now.
He took up a motorcycle with his buddy Ewan instead.
Yeah.
Good choice. Maybe his mom saved him. I mean, I don't know how long. I mean, how long did Boorman last? Boorman's still with us, right?
He's still kicking.
But is he really?
He's still kicking. Yeah. He is still apparently in development on a movie at 92.
Oh, come on. All right. Well, I don't need another Megalopolis in my life. Right.
Do we have any fixes for this for today? I mean, we've kind of talked to this,
we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good on that. So did everyone have a good time with their return to Excalibur?
I always have a good time with Excalibur, and I can't wait to watch this movie on 4K because the Blu-ray is crap, the regular version is crap, the digital version is garbage. I am buying the 4K not for the TV versions, of course.
It's for sale right now for $45 too. Like
I saw,
for three disc, like that's pretty solid for 4K. Like
it's pretty great.
It's gonna look fantastic. So, Arrow doesn't fuck around.
Arrow does not fuck around. No, they're great.
It's a movie that it's like the most visually stimulating representation of male subconscious desires and primal instincts. And if you're okay with that, you got a great movie ahead of you.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
If that's what you want, I mean, if you go into this going like, well, I really wanted to kind of check all the boxes of the Arthurian legend and stick to the the canon. No, you're going to sit there with your arms crossed and not have a good time.
Yeah,
this is just like reckless abandon for 2+ hours.
If you're going to this movie to expect a pop hit on the top 40, you're going to lose. But if you want to listen to a Pink Floyd album, this is your movie.
Yeah.
That's my greatest analogy of it, because the movie doesn't. It's about the album. It's not even about this moment or this moment. And even though it's not a cohesive album, you have to listen to the whole.
This is a double album. This is a double album, and there's some bloat, and there's some tracks that if they came on randomly, you might skip them. But
it's it's Pink Floyd's least commercial album, but the one that they loved making the most.
Yeah, this is my Animals, Pink Floyd, the Animals, if you will.
I like. Obviously, the film has its warts. I had the least like sort of built-in affinity for it, and obviously, I probably enjoyed returning to it the least. But that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. Like, there was a lot to dig. As I think it was Sean mentioned earlier, this is kind of like id Unbridled. That iteration of the Arthurian legend. And like, I think it's fun. And speaking to what you were saying before, like, this is kind of, Chad, this is kind of, carnal in a way that we don't get often. And I think it's still carnal in a way that's like tasteful, which you can't usually say about most of the other skin-heavy sword and sorcery movies, which
No.
are, it's always just Sybil Danning. And
Correct.
like it's never of a quality that's this.
It's not that exploitative.
Right.
It takes itself seriously. It takes itself earnestly. There is an intelligence underneath even the clunkiness. There's and I love it. And one of the funny things is like I've seen 2 concerts where the bands will mention this film, and I remember I saw Brian Jonestown Massacre a few years ago, and this is not a band known for being clean, and they were fucked up there, and Anton was going on some kind of rant, and he's like, I was just telling these dudes behind me that Excalibur is the greatest fucking movie ever made.
It makes sense that this would be Anton's favorite movie. Yeah,
anyone
anyone who's seen Dig can appreciate that.
Yes,
Dig,
exactly.
I think, is still on YouTube for free.
For being a cult classic, it also serves as like one of the greatest cautionary tales for the little head to not control the big head.
It is.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we see pretty early on, like,
Dicks
Merlin
do nothing but get people in trouble.
get you in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Merlin has that great line to Uther of like, you betrayed the Duke, you took his
Yeah.
woman, you stole his castle, nobody fucking trusts you. Like,
Yep.
no wonder you're gonna get ambushed.
I had to sleep 7 moons.
Oh
for a
yeah,
man's lust.
that's great. That line is so good. I can't remember who he says it to later on, but he's like, I once
He was
called
talking to
the
Merlin
dragon's
about his
breath-
father.
Yeah, I once called the dragon's breath so that he could lay with a woman, and it took me 9 moons. Like
Yeah.
I like when we're talking saving graces, and you guys rightly so mentioned Helen Mirren. I really just have a soft spot for Nicole Williamson in this.
He's great.
Like I just think he's just so unique.
Chrome thing notwithstanding, he's great.
And distinct, and how he moves, and just the lilt to his voice. It's a warm blanket for me, and it has been for 40 years.
Absolutely. No, it's a good call.
So before we say goodbye to the listeners at home, where can they find you, Chad?
Yes.
Avalon.
Please look me up. In Camelot, baby. Having fun.
I mean, that's how you want to go out, right? You want the nuns to take you away on a raft, right, Chad?
Ideally, since I was 8 years old, yeah. Or I don't want to go like Helen Mirren. No.
Choked to death by your son.
And looking like George Burns, No.
Yeah, looking like the bathtub woman from The Shining.
Yeah, that
Exactly.
was definitely the like image that this evoked for me.
Yeah.
It was rough. It's rough. You can find me on, LA Weekly, Village Voice, probably in the new year. And I'm on Instagram under Chadwick_Burns.
Cool. Well, thank you for subjecting your fond childhood memories.
I didn't tell you about all of them, and you don't want to hear it, especially when it comes to
Right.
Excalibur.
But
We'll get that on the third. We'll get that on your third appearance.
Yeah. But thanks for exposing the soft underbelly of your childhood memories to the scrutiny of the unkind rewind, Chad.
Oh, guys, it's always a pleasure. I'm glad I could bring the dark and dangerous and to your universe once in a while.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for letting
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for letting the boy try, Chad.
Hey, Sean, thanks for having the same childhood fantasies I did. Appreciate it.
I'm right there with you, buddy.
Thanks for being as broken as I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we should talk off mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To have a support group.
Yeah, I
How's
need
your-
to. I need
how's your
you
dating life?
to explain some things.
I blame the id of this film. So
Yeah.
there we go.
Why are we like this?
And if anyone else in the audience needs to reach out to form the support group, let us know. You can call in or email the pod or contact us on social media.
We'll send you the group meetup.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Chad.
guys. Have a great night.
All right.
That was another installment of the Unkind Rewind, mining our childhood for content, one film from a guest's past at a time. Unkind Rewind is a Munchcasts production and can be listened to wherever you download your podcasts and watched on the Unkind Rewind YouTube channel. Music for this and every other episode of Unkind Rewind was composed by Divorcio Suave. Rate, review, like, and subscribe to Unkind Rewind on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Good Pods. Links to all of our social media accounts are in our show notes, but you'll find us as at Unkind Rewind Pod on Letterboxd and nearly every social media platform, all of which can be found at our website, unkindrewind.com. If you have a question, concern, complaint, or feedback, you can email the podcast at unkindrewindpod@gmail.com or call into our call-in line, area code 507-479-6440, and leave a message that can be played on air. Fans should join the Munchcast Discord to discuss this or any other episode of the Unkind Rewind with like-minded people. This dialogue may just make it into a future episode of the pod. The Unkind Rewind Patreon will be coming soon, so start squirreling that pocket change away. Thank you for listening to the Unkind Rewind.